How you guys how are you guys doing? Welcome back to Emoji Comes YouTube channel. And by now, obviously, on this research writing course, you already have your topic. I believe that, and you must have written your chapter one, your chapter two, and your literature review to a certain extent. Okay, so there's an aspect of research that gives students problems, or that's just make students that gives students one or two challenges, which is literature um, gap in literature or research gap. They are the same thing. Now, this section is pretty difficult because some students don't just know how to write it. But the thing is that if you've been exposed to a class like the class we had on finding a project topic, you would realize eventually that you already have your gap in literature, because the process of obtaining a project topic is what you are asked to write about in your gap in literature. Okay, and if you remember from that particular class, I was talking about you focusing on case study, you focusing on methodology, and you focusing on, I think, theoretical review. Okay, the theories that you saw or that you read about in existing journals. So all of those things will make you know, you know, um, what has been done so far by previous studies on the topic that you want to write on, and what you possibly can add newly to it. Okay, so it's a difficult task if you just selected your topic out of the blue, but if you conducted a quite thorough research before selecting your topic, then I don't think it should be a problem. Okay, so your gap in literature comes in chapter 3. Okay, under a literature review, when you've written your theoretical review, your methodological review, and your empirical review. Okay, so after all of those things, okay, you've told us, all of those reviews is talking about what has been happening. Okay, um, what are other researchers done on this topic in the past. Okay, that's what all of those reviews are about. Now, what are you contributing? So that's what the gap in literature is, more or less talking about. So the thing is that what you have to do is for you to synthesize your findings, okay, from the review that you've done. You synthesize everything and then pick out something that has not been done. Okay, so far so good. Now, I told you this course is a practical course, so I've written an example of a literature gap, a gap in literature that I'm going to read out in this particular video. So for you to kind of have an idea of what I am talking about, it may not sound perfect to you, but at least it will kind of give you a grasp on what is expected of you. Now, there are some things that we have to consider while writing our gap in literature. Okay, first, gap in literature, GIL, is about writing the process used in selecting a project or research topic. Okay, so it is under literature review section, and also under literature review I didn't mention something, which is theoretical framework. Okay, so I intentionally started it here. It's not meant to be a part of gap in literature, but because I haven't spoken about it before, so that's why I'm saying it here. So your theoretical framework is a diagram. Okay, you can use smart arts on your MS Word to do it. So it's a diagram that shows the link between your dependent variables and your independent variables. Okay, so it's a diagram, so you can just go online and then check different kind of theoretical framework that you have on the internet. Now, for example, in a particular work that I did, recall that I said this is not a part of a gap in literature. I'm just stating it. I'm just kind of trying to explain it because I didn't explain it before. Okay, so now in one of the works that I did recently, I think we were to work on the impact of COVID-19 on employees' motivation. Okay, so when the COVID-19 strikes, how did it affect employees' motivation? And our theoretical framework was something like this. I had there was COVID-19. Was it like that? Was that no? I think there was job motivation. Job motivation. Yeah, obviously inside something like this. Then from here we had internal and external. Obviously I have already spoken about job motivation in the research, and I've been able to explain that Job motivation can be internal or external. Okay, it could be from within an individual, an employee, and it could be from without, like it could be an outside factor. Okay, so this one too, something like this. So just the design and so on and so forth. Then under internal and external, so we then have different things. Um, different things. I think this combined somewhat. Maybe something just divided in the middle. So you just have stuff like this, stuff like that. So here you kind of have job satisfaction. Here maybe job pay, the amount that you're paid, job pay, maybe work condition, relationships at work, relationships, and so on and so forth. From the literature review that I already did, because I was tasked with writing a literature review of that particular work. So from the literature review I already did, I figured out that these were some of the motivations of employees at different places of work. Like these were some of the motivating factors. They have job satisfaction. Yeah, sure. This was something it was inside the shape as well. So what I've done here is a theoretical framework. So if you're asked to include a theoretical framework in your work, it is just about you putting up the relationship between your dependent variables and your independent variables, in a shape form. Okay, so if like I said, if you go to the MS Word under Smart Art, you would see different frameworks that you can use, different shapes that you can edit. So if you don't know how to use Smart Art, the first time I was tasked with it, I didn't know how to use it as well. So you can easily go online and check how Smart Art is used. So you just edit it and then include your variables and what have you. So here, under this theoretical framework, so I was able to figure out also from my literature review that some factors were affected by COVID-19, some motivational factors were affected by COVID-19 than other factors, and some other factors were not even affected at all. Now let's say, did COVID-19 affect how people felt satisfied with their jobs? I think that was part of it. So this probably was in blue. Okay, so the factors that COVID-19 affected was they were in blue, and the ones that COVID-19 didn't affect were in white. Okay, so you then put a map. So factors affected by COVID-19 in blue. Okay, so this might be in blue, this might be in blue, and this is in white, this is in white. So that means COVID-19 affects job satisfaction of workers based on literature findings, and it's affected work relationships. COVID-19 ensured that people didn't go out. There was a lockdown across. I don't know when you'll be seeing this video, but I'm talking about 2020. There was lockdown all over the world. People had to stay at home. Restricted movements and so on and so forth. So people whose work required them to work in tandem with patients or with their clients, or whose work required them to communicate with their co-workers, you understand, on a face-to-face level. COVID-19 affected that aspect of their motivation because they had to be at home, and stuff like that. So that's just that about it. I'm just trying to explain theoretical framework to you if your supervisor asks you to do a theoretical framework. So it is essentially a shape, you understand, a combination of shapes that shows the relationship between your independent variables and your dependent variable. Okay, so for different fabulous designs, just go online and see the one I can pick and then replicate in your particular work. Okay, so that's all about that. Now, what are the tips to writing a very good gap in literature? Number one, you have to consult many recent journals. So here you have many recent citations or references. What I mean here, you have to consult is that you have to consult many recent journals. Now this is year 2022, so if I want to write a literature gap on a particular topic, so I need to be looking at year 2015 to 2022 or let's say year 2014 maybe, or 2012 to 2022. Now, even, it's more or less like I'm looking at things um, from the perspective of what has been happening recently in the line of this thing. So not that you won't find studies that have been done on the topic in 1988 or 1998, but of what essence is something of 1988 to you in 2022. Okay, so that's why you need to look for recent journals, and you will be surprised. Okay, this is, let's say you are in February of a particular year, you'll be surprised that journals may have been churned out, research may have been done on your topic of interest in January. And in fact, I'm not talking about one paper. You might be looking at maybe 10, 20 papers, and you'll be wondering, wow, because this is all over the world. And there are 7 billion people on earth right now, and out of those 7 billion, maybe a million are researchers all over the world, and they just, maybe a researcher in maybe social sciences, economic stuff, and what have you. So we keep churning out stuff from different countries and at different times and stuff like that. Because the internet connects many people together, so you can find literature on any topic that you're looking for from different that were written by researchers from different parts of the world. Okay, so that's why don't just think, okay, the new year is just starting, so there shouldn't be any paper in this particular year. You might be surprised. So what you have to do when you're writing your literature gap is your literature gap is that you have to consult many recent journals. Okay. Number two, you need to use multiple references to back up key points. So what I mean is, because your gap in literature section is showing your supervisor how well you've consulted different studies, okay, in coming up with your research. So if you are trying to say that there is a gap in literature in this particular area, you need to show that you've consulted several journals, several studies, okay, so be sure that indeed no other study has filled this particular gap. Do you understand? So you need to consult several, so you don't just put up a literature gap and you have only 5 citations. Now 5 citations, for God's sake, you just cited 5 journals or 5 5 journals or 5 studies or 5 sources, and then you think because of those 5 journals that okay, fine, there's a literature gap. It's not like that. You need to cite several journals. In my life, at least till this particular time, I've only written 2 works that required me to use gap in literature. Okay, this one that I was talking about, the work that involved this. In fact, that was my first. Then the second one that I happened to send to the client today. Okay, so in those 2 works, I had to cite quite a number of journals. In fact, in this particular one, by the time I look at the journals I used in my literature review, they were 68 in number. Like the sources, not just journals though, the sources. And I think I've told you before that when you are writing an academic work, you should ensure that most of your citations come from journals or any academic publication, so not from blogs, not from Wikipedia. In case you missed that, I'm telling you again. Okay, so you have to use multiple. You might say something, so you have to back it up with several studies. This course is practical. I am going to read out an example to you for you to understand. Now, number 3, focus on, because now you want to select a gap. There's a gap somewhere that you want to select. So focus on case study, focus on themes, focus on methodology, and under methodology you're looking at the data. You can focus on the data itself, the data collection, the data analysis, the way data was analyzed, And number 4, your literature gap must be very convincing. You understand? 1, it is demonstrating that you've studied several journals, you've gone through several journals to be sure that this gap has not been filled by any study. Okay, so there's a way you must write that will show that indeed what you are writing is true. And funny enough, there might have been a study that wrote about what you're trying to write about, but because the way you presented the arguments was so convinced that your supervisor didn't even bother to check. And I don't mean you intentionally lied, no. Based on the things that you saw, obviously you can't see everything. Based on the things that you saw, the journals you consulted, the academic publications you saw, okay, you felt or you feel that this gap exists. Okay, so there's a way you write in a very convincing manner that nobody decides to doubt you, and everybody just thinks, fine, this gap is existing. Sometimes you might have a very good gap that you want to fill. You understand? A very good gap in literature that you want to fill, and the way you've argued your points, okay, does not really convince anybody. And what's going to happen then is that the supervisor will likely ask you to consult further studies, and that could be a lot of work. You are trying to avoid that in your gap in literature. You are trying to avoid your supervisor asking you to consult more studies, or asking you to do a correction that makes a significant change to your project work. Okay, so you have to do what you are doing. You have to do it very, very wonderfully, very, very convincingly. Okay, all right. Yeah, so number 5, broad to narrow. When you're writing a literature gap, personally, I'm just talking about myself. You are coming from a broad perspective, and you are narrowing it down to the topic that you want to do. Like I said, that before you get into this section, you already have a topic in mind. Okay, so now you are trying to coming from the broad area. Now I'm narrowing down to that topic that I want to do. Okay, and and then you justify it. You have to justify it. Okay, you have to include reasons or include the importance of you filling that gap. You understand? You have to include it. Okay, now let me read something. I told you guys in one of our classes that in my own particular project work, I did customer relationship management in Nigerian banking industry with First Bank as my case study. And in fact, in that particular work, I think I distributed questionnaires among the customers of 3 First Bank branches in Ibadan. Alright, so there's someone else that is interested in that topic as well, customer relationship management in Nigerian banks. And now this person is trying to look for gap in literature. Okay, so now this person has come up with something like this. Okay, so I'm going to read it out for you to understand. Okay, let's start. Multiple studies have been conducted on customer relationship management in the banking industry. Now, because you said multiple studies, so you must kind of cite some studies. So you can't just say multiple studies and then move. Okay, multiple studies have been conducted on customer relationship management in the banking industry. In the banking industry, I did not say the Nigerian banking industry. In the banking industry, such as that I'm citing Tunde 2015, Wale et al. 2021, Zanetta et al. 2018. Now, if you look at it, there was a time I was teaching you referencing. Okay, no, it's not this part. So multiple studies have been conducted on customer relationship management in the banking industry, such as Tunde 2015, Wale et al. 2021, Zanetta et al. 2018, among other studies. Okay, now 3 citations. In Singapore, Wang et al. 2016 investigated the customer relationship management policies of 5 Singaporean banks through surveys and interviews. So for this particular work, I want to provide a gap. I want to write about a gap in literature with reference to case studies. I was talking about it here. Focus on case study. You want to bring out a gap. Now, case study is more or less like place that something has been done. So you want to pick a place that something hasn't been done. Do you understand? So you need to talk about places where the things has been done first. You understand? Before you can say, okay, this particular place, we've not done anything here. So that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, we've treated this, we've covered this, but we've not covered this. So for you to tell us what we've not covered, you need to let us know the things that have been covered, by other people. So I'm talking about case studies. So you can do the same thing for teams if your focus is on teams or methodology. So you're just trying to look for the pitfall of what others have done, and that will create a gap for you to fill in your research work. So let me go again. Multiple studies have been conducted on customer relationship management in the banking industry, such as Tunde 2015, Wale et al. 2021, Zanetta et al. 2018, among other studies. In Singapore, Wang et al. 2016 investigated the customer relationship management policies of 5 Singaporean banks through surveys and interviews of 500 customers of the selected banks. Now I'm talking about Singaporean banks, bank in Singapore. 1. In the UK, Smiths, now I'm talking about UK banks now. Smiths 2020 evaluated the impact of effective customer relationship management policies on the customers of Provident Bank in California. See, I've mentioned two places now. By conducting online, I'm talking about their methodology. By conducting online surveys for the bank customers. Okay, I've spoken about two places, and I've even spoken about their methodologies in Nigeria. So I've come from broad perspective now from the whole world. I'm narrowing down to Nigeria. In Nigeria, Wale et al. 2021 examined the impact of First Bank's customer relationship management policies on its customers' satisfaction in Lagos State. Okay, so Lagos First Banks. Okay, now similar studies were carried out by Shoyinka 2020, Fatima 2022, Olubole, that was the one I did 2020, among others. Okay, albeit the studies generated mixed results. All right, now in the past few years, multiple studies have evaluated customer relationship management policies in the top four Nigerian banks, namely UBA, GTB, Access Bank, and First Bank. Now, the study that I've spoken about this, I'm now citing them. So, into bracket, Sulaiman 2021, Timaya, Sulaiman 2021, my semicolon, Timaya 2019, semicolon, Vero et al. 2019, Whiskeyed et al. 2022. So I'm citing four sources, okay, to back up that claim. In the past few years, multiple studies have evaluated customer relationship policies in the top four Nigerian banks, namely UBA, GTB, Access Bank, and First Bank. Okay, so Sulaiman 2021, Timaya 2019, Vero et al. 2019, Whiskey et al. 2022. For First Bank in particular, okay, Oluwole 2020, as the one I did, examined the effectiveness of customer relationship management policies in three branches in Ibadan. A similar study, Osodeke et al. 2015 conducted a similar study, but with 5 First Bank branches. Is it branches now? I don't even know. In Port Harcourt. Okay? In Port Harcourt. So you've spoken about Port Harcourt, another place, another case study. Now, Tosin et al. 2018, Mohammed et al. 2017, Kazim and Taiwo 2016 conducted similar studies using 3 to 5 bank branches in Maiduguri. Okay, so that's still in Nigeria. Okay, so you continue on and on. You understand? You keep citing journals, okay, the places where these things have been done. You want to narrow it down to what you really want to do. Okay, and I need to tell you that whatever citation that you are doing in this particular section must have been in your literature review. Okay, in either your methodological review, or more of your methodological review, your theoretical review, your empirical review. Do you understand? So it's not as if you are citing different things here and the journals you cited here cannot be found in the other parts of your literature review. No, it's not like that, because what you are doing here is a summary of some of the things that you've written in your methodological, theoretical, and empirical review. So you are picking your citations from there. You are summarizing, you are linking things up. That's what I call synergy. You are linking things up from there. So you don't just put new citations here that are different, so that doesn't make sense. All right, okay. I think let me start from Osodoke et al. 2015 conducted a similar study, but with 5 First Bank branches in Port Harcourt. Tosin et al. 2018, Mohammed et al. 2017, Kazim and Taiwo 2016 conducted similar studies using 3 to 5 First Bank branches in Maiduguri, and so on. I'm not saying you should write and so on, so just keep citing stops like that. However, not much study on the bank's customer relationship management policies on customer satisfaction has been carried out in Ado-Ekiti. Okay, especially considering the fact that First Bank has been present in First Bank has been present there for 7 years. Bimbo 2022. I'm making a claim now that First Bank has been in Ado-Ekiti, which is the capital of Ekiti State, for 7 years. I wasn't the one that went to count them. I wasn't the one that maybe I wasn't even there in the first First Bank branch was located or sited at Ado-Ekiti. Okay, so how did I know? From who did I know? From what study did I know? From what source did I know that First Bank has been there for 7 years? So that was why I referenced Bimbo 2022. Let me read it again. Where is it? However, not much study on the bank's customer relationship management and customer satisfaction has been carried out in Ado-Ekiti, especially considering the fact that First Bank has been present there for 7 years. Bimbo 2022. This represents a gap in literature that this study intends to fill using all the 10 First Bank branches in Ekiti State Capital, that is Ado-Ekiti, in a bid to evaluate how well the banks have satisfied their customers through the customer relationship management policies, as well as suggest how to improve on them where necessary. So I'm already telling, in this gap in literature, I'm already saying, okay, this is the gap. Now studies have done this and this and this, but not much study has been carried out on the customer relationship management policies and how effective they've been on customer satisfaction for First Bank. You understand? All the 10 First Bank branches in Ado-Ekiti, no study has been carried out on them. So it's possible that studies have been carried out on maybe 3 to 6 branches. You understand? 5 branches. Okay, but the fact that no study has been conducted on 10 branches, all the 10 branches there, simply represents a gap for you, because what you can say for 3 to 5 bank branches may not be true for all the 10 bank branches. In fact, it might be a plot. Do you understand? So studies have been done on maybe 3 to 5, but it hasn't been done on all of them. So what you want to do is on all of them. Okay, so that's a gap for you to fill. Obviously it must here the topic of this particular research is probably customer relationship management in the Nigerian banking industry, with First Bank Ado-Ekiti as a case study. All right, so that's just the topic. Well, now you're writing a literature gap that you are narrowing down, to justify how you chose that topic. So that's just how it is. Okay, and I've already mentioned why I want to do it. Number one, it is in a bid to evaluate how well the banks, the 10 bank branches, 10 banks now, how well the banks have satisfied their customers through their customer relationship management policies. That's one reason, as well as to suggest how to improve on them